Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Melissa Wallace. I've been asked to substitute for our regular chair for this meeting with the help of all of our colleagues online. So with that, I'd like to call this meeting to order. And Madam Compliance Manager, would you like to do the roll and let us know if we have a quorum?
Album by what's on here. The board members, Laura Angelini, Luis Garcia,
Present.
Melissa Wallace,
Present.
Cynthia de Benia, and we're gonna count her here, and Bob Richter. Staff present are Cheryl Jones, Melinda Salcedo, Amy Smith, Dina Mohan, Thais Holcomb, and Kanisha Daniels. And Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Great, thank you so much. I call to order this meeting of the Complaint Review Committee. At this meeting, the committee members will discuss and consider the complaint, the answer, and any other materials that have been submitted. We will vote to determine whether violations and sanctions are appropriate or recommend to the commission that a complaint be dismissed. This is not a contested hearing. You will not be given any opportunity to argue, present evidence, and call or cross-examine witnesses or any other party. And based on the rules that govern this process, your participation at this meeting is at the chair's discretion. If the committee determines that you are in violation of the commission's laws, you will be mailed a notice of violation letter and have the opportunity to submit in writing your request to settle or contest your case. There's an additional step if your case is dismissed. Your case will be presented before the commission at its commission meeting. The commission will vote to approve or not approve your dismissal, and the meetings of the commission are open to the public and you will receive notice of them. So with that, let us proceed to agenda item 2, opening remarks, in case anybody has any opening remarks.
We want to thank all the members. I know that we only have one case on this agenda, but I do want to thank y'all for your time and for your service.
Great, thank you very much. So the first case that we will discuss is agenda item 3 in the matter of Young Sung, cause number 0538. Madam Investigator, do you have a summary?
Yes. On February 2nd, 2023, Abigail Kim, the complainant, filed a complaint against Young Sung, the respondent, alleging she hired the respondent to provide interpretation services for her client, and the respondent acted unprofessionally by offering numerous side comments in his own testimony during a deposition. Per the answered interview, the respondent denied the allegations and stated he only commented in an attempt to explain the client's confusion.
Being a Mohan prosecutor for the commission, we did find a violation of Code of Ethics 6, and the suggested sanction is a reprimand, which is consistent with the matrix for first violation.
Right. Are there any parties present who would like 3 minutes to speak? Mr. Sung.
Yes, ma'am. If I may.
Yes, please go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. My name is Young Sung. It is heartbreaking for me to come to this point. I just want to first thank you for bringing this matter to our attention. The individual I was interpreting for is an elderly person who came to America. I believe she was born in around 1945 or 45 after World War II. And thereafter that, Korean War broke out. This person is experiencing significant cultural shock, and I felt compelled to address the visible stress struggle in answering repeated questions. And I wish you have a totality of all of that. And I did ask for permission and with integrity and with the respect. Having been interpreted for over 20 years without any prior complaints, it is deeply concerning to receive this feedback after such a long time. While I was always strive for neutrality, my intention was to provide the best support in a challenging situation. It is unusual and unfortunate that this complaint arose a year later, especially when other lawyers, prosecutors, judges in a similar situation have been very accommodating and understanding. And I have been interpreter for over 20 years and done many different cases, even doing a Homeland Security, FBI, Interpol, many kinds of also. What I do is by service above beyond, is give back to the community of people. This was not about doing the service. And I've done that with all due respect. It was, if you look at the whole totality of everything, it was a matter of so much, it was such a heartbreaking situation and very stressed situation, trying to offer support in a challenging situation. That's what I did. It was never about anything else. Now I wish you committees understand. And it's heartbreaking for me to be here. The heartbreaking for me to see. I wish you see the whole totality of all of this.
Right. Well, Mr. Sung, thank you very much for your comments. Do any of the board members have any questions for parties or for staff? Okay. Hearing none, would anybody like to make a motion?
And Madam Chair, the motion can be to accept the prosecutor's violation and recommended sanction, or to dismiss a case, or you can propose an alternative sanction.
Great, thank you, Ms. Mohan. So with that in mind, would anyone present like to make a motion on this case?
I move, this is Luis Garcia, to accept the prosecutor's recommendation.
Would anybody like to second that motion?
May I ask a question first
Of course.
this time? I just wanted to know, is this recommendation of the reprimand, is this the only viable or the only acceptable course of action?
No, you can assess a penalty, an administrative penalty, anywhere from 1 cent to $500. You can put the person on probation. You can recommend continuing education. And with respect to that, I would have y'all actually refer to a course that the commission has approved. And, you can revoke his certification, but for the reprimand is consistent with the matrix that you all adopted some time ago. And you can also dismiss a case if you want.
Great, thank you for providing those options. Would anybody like to move to amend Mr. Garcia's motion, or would anyone like to propose an alternative or to second his motion? If not, I would move to second the motion to accept the prosecutor's recommendation. So, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the recommendation for a reprimand carries. Is there anything else, or should we proceed to agenda item number 4?
Go ahead and go to the next agenda item.
Okay, the next agenda item is the selection of the complaint review committee member to attend the commission meeting on February 7th at 2025. And I understand that it's usually the chair of the committee, our regular chair who attends.
It's any member that is able to attend, and it'll be by Zoom if they attend. So they don't have to go in person.
Okay.
Whoever is available.
Do we happen to know if our regular chair is willing and available that day?
I do not know.
I would recommend someone who's participating in this meeting to appear because you'll want to explain the rationale.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so are any members of the board present here today willing and able to attend the February 7th meeting?
I can send out an email, maybe after this meeting to see if we can, if y'all want to check your calendars, or if that would be, easier, instead of making the selection right now. We haven't been able to get a hold of, Laura, so that's why we're not sure. And as Dina said, it would be beneficial if we have somebody from this meeting attend the actual commission as well.
And at the commission meeting, I usually present these cases, and rarely do they have questions for the committee members.
Okay, then should we just proceed and decide via email then? Or Ms. Mohan, is that a volunteer? Have you volunteered?
I'm sorry?
Have you volunteered, or would you like?
There's usually someone from the committee who's a representative who appears via Zoom or in person at the commission meeting, that I usually present the case and I explain the committee's rationale. So typically there are no questions for the committee member who appears.
Okay. Well, I would be available and willing if you like, but if we can still send out the email in case one of my fellow committee members would be more inclined to attend.
May I say something?
Of course.
I don't want to just sound like we're in complete silence, and I don't want to volunteer either, because I don't understand going to a committee meeting, going before the commission or to explain a rationale that we haven't discussed or talked about. I don't understand myself the rationale. I understand the recommendation. I understand that this is part of what we had agreed upon before, but beyond what is in writing, is there anything else? Have there been other complaints on the interpreter? What is the rationale for going with reprimand, or is reprimand the first thing that we go with?
Well, as far as I understand, there have been no other complaints against Mr. Sung, and the recommendation was made in accordance with the matrix that was agreed upon previously. But if you or if any of the committee members feel that we should enter into further discussion, we can circle back to the previous agenda item and do that.
I'm sorry for I don't remember what else is in the matrix other than a reprimand, but okay, I will leave it at that.
As Dina had stated earlier, you can do administrative penalty, you can do a probate suspension, a suspension, a revocation, you can do a CE, revocation. There's multiple things that you can do. The only thing that we don't do is the private reprimand. And then you could also just leave it as the reprimand itself. As Melissa has stated, in the investigation report, he's not had any other complaints with the commission. And so we also, not only going on the matrix that was presented and accepted, but looking at the totality of it as well. The matrix isn't going to be cookie cutter every single time.
Right.
So we look at conduct, past history with commission, severity, and such. And so, but again, like Dina had said, the board can always make alterations. They can always change it. They could always dismiss it. Whatever the board thinks is appropriate, given that you guys are the subject matter experts on the case.
Going on what you just mentioned, there was the word private reprimand. Is this the recommendation, is this a private reprimand or a public reprimand?
No, we don't do public, or we don't do private reprimands anymore.
Okay.
It's going to be public on the website, on the disciplinary law.
Okay. I do want to say, and I normally don't speak on this, nor have I participated in this before, but I do think a public reprimand is, even though I do recognize, having read the entire record, that the actions taken by the interpreter were inappropriate, and they are a violation of the Code of Ethics, and actually more than one way. But I do think that jumping from speaking to the interpreter and reminding him that this is not appropriate, that he feels that there are reasons for what happened, and I understand the reasons, but it was not the correct solution, and it was not an appropriate behavior. However, I do think that a public reprimand will stand as a permanent record on something that has perhaps not been also addressed with him before. So I just found it a little bit, I don't know the reason for going with a reprimand other than speaking to him about this and seeing to it that this does not occur again, because this is, the violation is serious. It is a violation in several ways, actually. But I just normally feel that there should always be a one occasion of speaking to the person and bringing it to their attention, making sure that they understand that there are other ways to handle a matter like this, because this is going to happen again. This happens to a lot of interpreters, happens in many situations, and it should have been handled differently. Most certainly it should have been handled in a different manner. But to jump from inappropriate one-time conduct to a public reprimand, just personally, it seemed a little bit, what would be the word? I would say we're jumping quickly into something that is going to be permanent on his record.
And that's where the committee can always make changes. They can always decline the staff's recommendation. You can also make your own, in which you can actually recommend to dismiss it and disagree with the motions that were made. And again, the matrix it's just a guide. It's certainly not anything that we lock the committee into. And so you may always have the ability and right to amend that motion or to make a new motion to dismiss the case if you feel that that's appropriate.
I don't know how others would feel about this, but the only reason I am not making a recommendation, which in any case my recommendation would be for requiring continued education in the matter of ethics, which is why we require this as part of our continuing education. We require that ethics courses be attended. And I'm not making the recommendation only because I did not come prepared with having reviewed the courses that have been approved or that could be approved for a situation like this, because I do think something should be done. I think there should be something more other than this happened, now you're reprimanded, and that's that. I do think there should be a little bit more. I just don't know if this is just something we don't do or it's not our place to do. I'm not familiar with it enough to give an opinion there.
We can recommend continuing education on the Code of Ethics. There is a commission-approved CE for that. I forgot the name of the instructor, but I do remember seeing that course among the approved commission courses for continuing education.
If I could please follow up just with a clarifying question. The public reprimand, you mentioned that it's on the website. Would anyone be able to give us an idea of the language that is included in that reprimand and how long it stays visible? Is it in perpetuity? Does it have an expiration date, so to speak?
It remains on our website. It's something that also, it doesn't have an expiration date because it doesn't ever fall off of their record per se. And so it's very, very short, simple language, what the individual's name, what the violation was, and what the outcome of that was. We're going to change the disciplinary log around a little bit, but essentially that's what is on there.
Okay, thank you for that. In light of these comments, Cynthia, would you feel comfortable making a motion to recommend continuing education and not going forward with the public reprimand? Or would anybody else like to continue to discuss options?
Madam Chair, before there's a second vote, you'll need to vote to withdraw your previous vote. And then that has to pass by majority vote. And then someone needs to make an additional motion, an amended motion.
I'm sorry, just for clarification, any outcome, whether it be CE or the reprimand, will go on the disciplinary log. Whatever the outcome is, if there is one and it's not dismissed, will be published on the website.
Okay, thank you.
Some committees consider a reprimand the lowest sanction, but you could also assess an administrative penalty of $25 or whatever you deem, would be not a significant penalty.
This is Luis Garcia. I move to withdraw my original motion so that we can have a clean slate to reassess Mr. Peña's comments and anybody else's.
And that would be a motion to withdraw the vote.
Oh, to withdraw the vote.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second for Mr. Garcia's motion?
I will second the motion.
The vote is withdrawn. Thank you. And with that in mind, would anyone like to offer further discussion?
I think that this is Luis Garcia again. I think my colleague Cynthia is actually pointing out something that allows me to think that this is an opportunity for Mr. Sung to refocus on what I'm sure all of us continue to take continuing education, but often we sort of glaze over, I think, when we keep taking these classes. I think this is an opportunity for him to really again refocus and be able to glean a greater experience from it, more so than from a reprimand. I think that this continuing education that is more focused, if I can keep beating the dead horse, probably would be more helpful to him in the long run and to the profession, frankly.
I would agree, actually. I think Cynthia's comments were very helpful to offer us an alternative. And Luis, I agree with your comments. I would be very happy to entertain a motion to ask for continuing education. But are there other comments?
And Madam Chair, there is commission approved continuing education on the Code of Ethics by provider Maribel Alonso. So if you want to specify the continuing education recommended by the prosecutor, someone can make that motion, because there is a course that might address this.
Right, thank you. Would anybody like to offer up a motion?
And before we do the motion, I just wanted to let you know that Bob Richter is on the online. Has joined the meeting, sorry.
Make it easier, Chair Wallace, someone can say they adopt the recommended course by the prosecuting attorney. And that way you don't have to repeat everything.
My memory thanks you. Would
Well,
any?
yes, yeah, this is Luis Garcia. I move to adopt the recommended course as expressed by the prosecutor.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Is there a second for this motion? I will second this motion, if I may. So we will take a vote now. All in favor of indicating continuing education as suggested by the prosecutor, please say aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Abstentions? And my vote was an aye also, so I believe the motion carries then.
That's correct.
Okay. Great,
I
thank
don't
you.
know if Judge Richter wanted to abstain or if he had a vote.
Mr. Richter, would you like?
No, I'm sorry, I was muted. Since I have joined the meeting late, I'll just abstain because I don't even know what y'all are talking about. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, we note your abstention, Mr. Richter. Thank you. The motion has carried. If there is no further discussion about this, I'll just thank my colleagues for always being so deliberate in their and so insightful. We will proceed then to agenda item 5, which is future meetings. Ms. Holcomb?
So we have a meeting scheduled tentative for February 21st. So far, I've heard back from everyone. Melissa will not be able to attend, but it'll be Cynthia, Luis, and Mr. Richter.
Got it.
Okay. Great, thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 6 is public comment. Do we have any members of the public who would like to make any comments, Ms. Holcomb?
Unless Mr. Song has some comments, we do not have anyone from the public.
If I may, Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
thank you for your time and thank you for this meeting. I truly appreciate your time trying to do this. I want to thank you. I know what I said on that meeting also. Is again, this is not something that I was trying to do something out of character. It was merely to understand, because what I went through, excuse me, my parents were born into that situation. I've been through it. My parents, I know my parents from the Japanese War occupation, Korean War. What they do not know, understand what they're going through. That is why applying humanity. As a public servant, as I was for the last 6 years for City of Carrollton as a city council, and that's what I do. That's what I do for the service. Again, I understand that what you have decided. I will respectfully, honorably accept it, but know that where my heart is to serve. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sung. We appreciate your comments. And there are no other public comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay, in that case, item number 7 is adjournment. If anybody would like to make a motion to adjourn.
And
Since
someone
I'm the
can say
last
so
one
moved.
on here, I'll so move.
Mr.
Being
Rick.
the last
you
person to
move
join and
adjourn.
missing the whole meeting, I'll move to adjourn it.
Would
Thank you, Mr. Rector.
would anybody
Yes.
like to second that motion?
Second the motion.
There.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Abstentions? Oh, I forgot the nays. Nays? Abstentions? Okay, this meeting is concluded. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everybody.
you.
Have a good
Bye, y'all.
weekend.
You
Thank you.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.